Yo. What's up, everybody? Can you hear me? And can you see me? Does it sound all right? Is the music too loud? I ask this every time, even though I don't change any of the settings. It's probably fine. But I guess it's worth checking. You never know. What's up, Life and Times? What's up, Rabbit Dude? What's up, DJ? I meant to stream a little bit earlier, but I got preoccupied. But you know, kind of a late night stream. It's almost 10:30 p.m. where I'm at. Are you familiar with the horrible 1999 made-for-TV movie Treehouse Hostage? It's amazingly bad. You'd love it. I'm not familiar with that. Never heard of it. But I do appreciate a good old-fashioned so bad it's good movie. But yeah, I just thought I'd pop in on the stream for a little bit tonight. See what's going on. I've been working on my next video, which should be coming out tomorrow. It's already out on Nebula, so if you're a Nebula subscriber, you can go check it out. It's about Friends, about the show Friends. What are my thoughts on the Minecraft movie trailer? I haven't watched it. I saw some people talking about it, but I haven't even really watched it. Maybe I'll watch it on stream. I doubt I can actually play it, but maybe I'll just react to it. But yeah, I've seen that there is like discourse about it, but I don't really know what's going on with that. I'm out of the loop on many things, including that. Got my big bowl of oats, and what do you know, T1J is on. A big bowl of oats. I feel like that's not a common thing that people eat. Maybe it is. But I am indeed here. I feel like usually when I stream, it's usually like after I just got done with a big project. I've been like working on this video for the past couple weeks. I still got a few things to do, but I'm pretty much finished with it now. Four cups of oats, honey, pea protein, soy milk. Tastes like a glazed donut. Interesting. I've been looking for healthier sweets lately. Trying to clean up my diet. Well, I've been trying to for a while. Sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't. But I do have I do have the sweet tooth sometimes. The Minecraft movie should have been animated. I mean, I don't know. It's possible to make a bad animated movie. I think it's just make a good movie. I think that's really the only thing that I personally care about. But I mean, I don't know. You just gotta. Some things are uninspired. Some things are like cash grabs. So I think a lot of the time, I don't know if that's what's going on with this, but I think you just have to have a good idea that's like inspired. Sort of like the Sonic movies. Like everybody was like up in arms when they first released the Sonic trailer because it looked so weird. But they were like, hey, we actually think we made a pretty good movie, so we're gonna fix it because we want you to watch our movie. And so sometimes people actually are inspired to make something that's good, and sometimes they're not. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the rumors that Peyton Manning might be the next head coach of either the Saints or the Broncos? I don't really know anything about that. I don't really keep up with the NFL, but I mean, good for him, I guess. He seemed like he knows a lot about football, so he probably would be a good coach. They used to say that he would pretty much coach the team, pretty much ran the teams that he was on. I'm making another fictional character breakdown soon. Yeah, I have a video coming out tomorrow. Keep an eye out. It's out on Nebula right now if you're a Nebula subscriber. It's about Friends, about the show Friends. I think a video on the Coreys, Heyman, Feldman would be amazing. I mean, yeah, possibly. I feel like they were not that much on my radar growing up, but I definitely heard about them. I think they're a little bit before my time. Like they're like the 80s, right? That's when they were thriving, yeah. And I was single digits in the 80s. But people might be interested in something like that. It might be interesting to research. When is Blade coming out? I don't know. Marvel stuff, you never know. They announce stuff like 10 years before it's going to come out. And they announce stuff before, there's even a script and before there's even fully cast. So who knows? Mid 80s to early 90s, yeah. I think most people remember the stuff that they were watching in their formative years. So that's, probably like preteen to early teen years. And that's kind of the stuff that I remember the most. And for me, that would have been mid to late 90s. Have I seen the Wolverine and Deadpool movie? I have seen it. It was enjoyable, although I think it is probably the worst of the 3 Deadpool movies. But I think they were just going for the spectacle, all the cameos and such. I won't spoil it just in case there's people that haven't seen it. What's your favorite bands and musical acts? I have a pretty wide, eclectic music taste, and also I don't really keep up with new music, so a lot of the music that I like is either music that I grew up listening to or just random stuff that I have stumbled upon, on the internet. But yeah, I'm not a super avid music guy. I mean, obviously I'm a human, I like music, but I don't really go out of my way to like pursue new music. I feel like I used to, but I don't know, I feel like these days there's so much media, and you just have to allot your time to what media you check out. So like I watch a lot of YouTube, and that's kind of mainly it. But the stuff that I liked growing up, I really like Nirvana, and I kind of like grunge music. And again, it's probably just because it was popular when I was a preteen. And I really liked early 2000s hip hop. I really like stuff like Mos Def and Common, stuff like that. And then I also kind of like, indie pop kind of stuff like Lorde. Billie Eilish is cool, although I've only heard the popular songs, but I like them. Where were you when Uncle Shay Shay temporarily broke social media? I didn't hear about that until this morning. I didn't realize what had happened. But that's pretty funny. But honestly, it's kind of like on brand for him, so it's like no harm, no foul. I watched him talk about it on a podcast. For those who don't know, Shannon Sharp apparently accidentally turned on his IG live while he was having sex. So about 50,000 people listened to him have sex for a few minutes, which is hilarious. But there's worse things you could be caught doing live. So it's a perfectly natural act for a healthy adult. Thoughts on A Different World? Different World is one of my favorite shows of all time. I would love to do a video about A Different World. Maybe I will one day, but we'll have to see. I feel like a lot of people in my audience are not as familiar with A Different World, but it's a great show. What's my favorite heavy metal track? I don't know. I'm a little bit unclear on what even counts as heavy metal. But it's not a genre that I followed a lot, but there are definitely like metal songs that I like. But I wouldn't know. I would probably only know stuff that's really popular. Like, is Metallica heavy metal? Is Fall of Troy heavy metal? I don't really know. There's so many different genres of rock and metal. And I'm sure people are, elitist and snobby about it. So I feel like if you say the wrong thing, people will be like, well, that's not technically metal. It was one scene in Deadpool and Wolverine as a black man that I enjoyed very much. I think I know what you're talking about. Check out the Hugh Mongolian Metal Rock. Is that what that is? I don't know what that is. I've never heard a Billie Eilish song. Really? That seems unlikely. Maybe you haven't, you just didn't know. Because at least one of her songs was one of the biggest songs in the country that was played everywhere. But I guess it's possible, depending on, what you surround yourself with. But I, as a person who does not follow music, was unable to escape Billie Eilish music. But maybe that's just the type of bubble that I'm in. Are Game of Thrones and Yellowstone really good shows, or did people secretly just like the torture, pornography, and violence? I mean, two things can be true. Am I seeing the Sonic 3 movie? I don't know, maybe. I didn't see the first two. That's not really by choice. I just don't really see movies a lot. Do you watch Bel Air? I've never seen it. Is it still on? I thought that was like a show that finished. But no, I haven't seen it. How about In Living Single? Do you mean Living Single? I think you got In Living Color and Living Single mixed up. But I guess you mean Living Single since we're talking about sitcoms. Also a great show though. Speaking of Friends, Friends is a rip-off of Living Single. But I like both shows. Metallica's mainstream heavy metal, but there's really, really good gems if you go deep in the cut with metal music. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. There's certain types of metal that I don't like. That's just very like I don't know. I don't want to say aggressive. It's just like, it's not melodic. I guess I like melodic music, and not a lot, but some metal seems to be just more about being loud and making noise and actually making music. So I don't like stuff like that, but I'm sure that there are really good metal songs that I haven't heard. In fact, I'm positive that there are. The only thing I know about metal is Metalocalypse. That was a really good show. And the music on that show was really good too, in my opinion. Breaking Bad or The Wire? I've never seen either show. I'm telling you guys, I don't watch TV. I only watch old sitcoms and Marvel stuff. That's kind of the only TV I watch. Are there any streamers you watch? I don't really watch streams that much. I don't know. Streams make me anxious. I don't like not being able to rewind. So I'll watch. There are streamers where I watch their VODs on YouTube. I watch a lot of streamers' VODs on YouTube, but I don't watch streams as they're happening usually. What are my thoughts on the Drake-Kendrick beef? I mean, it was cool, I guess. I don't really know. That whole thing was really weird to me. I'm not entirely sure why it captured so many people's attention. I feel like, I guess the songs were good. And at least Not Like Us is, I think, a really good song. Not Like Us is kind of has earned its place in the like upper echelon of diss tracks. But outside of that, it's like, yeah, it's just some dudes, making some songs. I guess it got really personal, but I mean, that's just kind of how rap music is in general. It didn't seem, maybe like the world at large has never seen, like a diss battle like this, but it happens all the time in hip hop. So it just seemed weird that this one blew up so much. Maybe because it was between like two of the biggest artists in the world. But yeah, I mean, it was fine, and we got some good music out of it, so I approve. And nobody got hurt, as far as I know. Did I ever get to the X-Files? I watched it like when it was on TV growing up, but I wouldn't say that I was like a diehard fan. But the X-Files is a candidate for a future video for sure. I usually like doing sitcoms, but I can maybe find something to do about X-Files. I just like doing sitcoms because they're usually like funny and heartwarming, and that's the kind of stuff that I want to make videos about usually. But if I can find an interesting story. Third season dropped last month. Fourth season for Bel Air is questionable at this point. Yeah, that tells you how much I'm in the loop. I thought that they just did like a season and then it ended. I didn't realize that there were 3 to 4 seasons of it. Rewinding is good on YouTube. I hate not being able to rewind on Twitch. Can you rewind his streams on YouTube? I guess you can. That's cool. But the thing is, when then you rewind the stream and then you're like not caught up and you don't know what the chat's talking about. You're kind of on different levels. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird experience. When I watch YouTube, I need to be able to pause and I need to be able to rewind. Did you see the Elephant Graveyard's video about Seinfeld? It's so hilarious. I have not seen it. I don't think I'm familiar with the Elephant Graveyard. Oh, okay. I actually got I get recommended this person's videos all the time. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. What YouTube channels would I recommend? I guess it depends on what kind of stuff you like on YouTube. I watch so much random shit on YouTube. It's hard to recommend because there's just so many different genres. Probably my all-time favorite channels are probably Vlogbrothers and Captain Disillusion, ContraPoints, Dead Meat. That's off the top of my head. Those are like my top favorites that I can think of. I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of at the moment. Have I read Chuck Klosterman's book, The 90s, about the 90s being the last real decade? I have not read that. It's an interesting thesis. Do I have any ghost experience? No, I don't. I'm not a believer of ghosts and spirits and things like that. My favorite thing about the beef is how much it opened up people to Kendrick's catalog. I mean, I guess that's cool. Because Kendrick is really good. Good Kid, Mad City is like maybe one of my top 10 rap albums ever. I know some people say that, you know, To Pimp a Butterfly or Damn is better, but I think Good Kid, Mad City is the best one. Meet the Grams was a lot more carefully produced, maybe. Then people recognize the way it sounded so spooky. That shit takes a lot of intent and an understanding for tonality, timbre. Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Lamar is good at what he does. And both of them, Drake and Kendrick, they're both good at what they do. Jay-Z versus Nas will always be number one for me, probably because they're tied for my number one favorite rapper of all time. That was a memorable beef for sure, and we got some very good songs out of it. Similarly, Ether is probably the best diss track of all time. But Jay-Z Takeovers are really good too. Like, I think people sleep on how good Takeover is. I'm more of an old sitcom guy myself. If you had to pick one, would you go with Martin or Fresh Prince? Definitely Martin. This is maybe gonna be a hot take, but I think The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is an overrated show. Like, there are some good moments, and it's funny. It's genuinely funny. But if you think about just the show as a whole, there's not that much going on that show. Like, there are some like really classic episodes, don't get me wrong, and there's good characters, I understand, but like, you know, when you're putting it like alongside some of the greatest sitcoms, it's like I feel like it's not in the same conversation. Martin's a really good show though. I think I wish people talked about Martin more these days. I think it was really popular when it was out, but that's a show, and that show was like hilarious. Like, that was a side-splitting, hilarious show. You think Kirk Cameron could have been a major movie star if he hadn't converted to Christianity? I don't know. There are Christian movie stars. I have no idea. Meet the Grams is the best. I think most people say Meet the Grams are not like us. H Bomber Guy is always a good recommendation. I agree. I really like H Bomber Guy's videos. I wish these people like ContraPoints and H Bomber Guy made videos more than like once a year, but you know, that's how it goes. I guess the scale of the productions they do and all the research they have to do probably takes a while. And you know, if you H Bomber Guy, especially now, his videos get like 10 million views a pop now, so he's probably good to do one video a year. What I've been up to lately, mostly just working on YouTube videos. The main things that I do in my life are make YouTube videos and play D&D. So that's what I've been up to. Do you watch NASCAR? Nope. I appreciate it though. I like the idea of race cars. That's pretty cool to me. Might be like my inner child. Cars go fast and it's fun. I also really like one of my like sort of like satisfying video, you know, like the genre of satisfying videos to watch, but one of my favorite like satisfying genre videos, watching a race car pit crew, like do their little pit routine or whatever you call it. It's like really cool to watch how they can just, they change the tires, they fill the gas up and everything in, less than 5 seconds or so. ContraPoints rules. She is legend. I agree. For sure. Glad to see Lindsay Ellis has sort of made a return to YouTube. Yeah, I mean, she's also good at what she does, and the more content she makes, the better it is. But I understand her hesitance. Hesitance? I think that's a word. But yeah, if you want to watch Lindsay Ellis, you need to be subscribed to Nebula, because that's kind of the main platform that she posts on now, as far as I know. Last I heard. And I think she might put one every blue moon on YouTube. One kill, one marry. Wait. Just F kill marry? A hobbit, a smurf, and a YouTube prankster. You can kill the prankster, marry the hobbit, fuck the smurf. I mean, I had a crush on Smurfette when I was a kid. Cheers from Taiwan. What's up? What's your top 200 favorite Creed songs? I think I can name maybe 2 Creed songs, but they're both good in my opinion. Sorry, I'm tired. Good night, all. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see I don't know if I caught you, but appreciate you. Which king of comedy do I prefer? Bernie Mac. Easy. I've been actually I've become sort of a fan of DL Hughley lately, but not really because of his comedy, just because he's kind of become like a public intellectual a little bit, and he like comments on politics and stuff, and he usually and not even just politics, but just like news and current events and stuff. He just seems like a smart guy, and he's like reasonable, and like he's not like, there's like so much commentary these days is just so like emotional and sensationalized, and I've been like searching for just like normal people to listen to. Like it's hard to find just like normal, reasonable people that talk about current events and politics. So I've come to appreciate that lately. Do you like ride a bicycle? I don't know if ride a bicycle is a thing, or if you're literally asking me if I like to ride bicycles. Any thoughts on the debate? Sorry if this is already asked. I just joined. Surprisingly, you're the first person to ask about the debate. I thought that would be the main thing people would talk about. I don't know, man. I mean, I think very clearly Kamala won the debate, whatever that means, whatever it means to win a debate. But I don't think the debate made me any more confident that Kamala would be a good president. And I mean, the debates are weird for me because I mean, Trump to me is just, there's no like, Trump would have to be a different guy for me to support him. Like, Trump is never gonna have a debate performance that makes me say, actually, I was wrong about Trump. Like, that's just not gonna happen, because that's just not the type of guy that he is. So when I'm watching debates, it's like a different experience than some other people, I guess. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way as me, but it's kind of a weird thing because it's not. I don't really care about who won the debate or who said the most, inspiring things. So I don't know. It's just weird. I don't really know where I'm going with that. Trump's just a bad guy, and I don't want him to be the president. And for that reason, I'm glad that most people seem to agree that Kamala won the debate. And hopefully that will convince undecided people to vote for her instead of Trump. But at the end of the day, is Kamala going to be like a really good president? I don't know. She'll probably just be... I don't know. I get like almost like Obama-ish vibes from her, because Obama kind of had this sort of like Obama's really cool and he was really really engaging, and he seemed very like revolutionary, like he was gonna like come in here and like change everything, but really he was just like a typical like neoliberal Democrat, and I think that Kamala is also. I honestly think that Joe Biden is like the most progressive president we've ever had, and I think Kamala is going to be a step back from that. Not saying Joe Biden is progressive, just compared to everyone else, he's the most. Anyway, pit stops are incredible to watch. Yes, I agree. They're just very satisfying to me. Also, the sound of the sort of like pneumatic drill that drills the tires on is a very pleasing sound to me. Is that common? Does everybody think that that's a good sound? I really love the sound of like drills. What I forgot. This how tells you how handy I am. I don't know what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about. The drills. It's not. It's like a certain type of drill. I guess it's a pneumatic drill, but it's a good sound. That zzz, zzz. I love that sound so much. Favorite comedy of the last year? I wouldn't know. What like comedy movies? Definitely I wouldn't know that. Was there any new comedy shows last year? I haven't told anyone this. I just found out my ex from high school has a wedgie fetish, and this explains so much that I didn't understand at the time. Interesting. I mean, we don't kink shame, but that's definitely interesting. I didn't know that was the thing, but it makes sense that it could be a thing. Bruno Mars came to Taiwan last week. 150K people attended. 1 arrest for disorderly conduct. Well, I guess only 1 is a good outcome, right? 150K is so many people. I'm an aspiring writer. I was wondering if you could advise me on the best approach to researching and depicting people and cultures I may not be familiar with from my stories. Well, I think consulting with people in those communities would help. Talking to people, if not outright asking a specific person to sort of consult you through the process. I don't know if I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on this. I just think as long as you don't engage in stereotype, you should be fine. Because I mean, at the end of the day, people are people. And you're never going to, each person is an individual. So if you make someone from a certain culture and you say that they're a certain way, it's not necessarily going to be like, well, that's not how a person from that culture acts, because everyone acts different. Everyone is different. So I think as long as you don't engage in stereotype, you should be fine. And it's like, you just do the best you can and you learn from it, really. There's no way to like just be perfect to get it to nail it perfectly, especially not if you haven't done it before. And you know, like it's like this reminds me of like Hank Green in his book. I believe it was in the book an absolutely remarkable thing, or one of those books. Maybe it was the other one. But there's a line where he's writing a woman, and there's a line where a woman, they say something like, "I slammed my boob in the door," or something like that, and he got a lot of criticism for that, but because it was like, "Oh man, typical man writing women. There's no way that a woman can slam her boob in the door. What are you talking about, you man?" And then, but then he, like Hank Green came out and was like, "No, so many women have told me that this happened to them. That's where I got it from. I got it from women telling me that it happened to them." So it's like, sometimes you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But you know, as long as you avoid stereotypes and just try your best and do your research, you do it, and then you learn from it and you fix it next time. And that's how you become a good writer, I guess. Do I ride bikes? I haven't ridden a bike in years, actually. But I don't really live in an area where bike riding is feasible. There's so many like steep hills. In fact, where I live right now, there's this huge hill, and it would be very dangerous for me to ride a bike around there. There are some areas, like there's like some bike trails and stuff that I could go to, but I don't know. The last time I tried to ride a bike, it didn't go well because of all the hills, and I just don't have the stamina and endurance that I did when I was a kid. I get winded very quickly. Obviously, the way to change that would be to go and get the workout, but I do need to find some ways to be more active, and maybe that's something. But I don't own a bike. Last bike I had, well, it didn't get stolen. It was kind of like left in storage, and I kind of moved out of the place, and then when I went back, it wasn't there. So that was on me. I kind of left it in storage and like forgot about it. Did I learn anything about Kamala in the debate? I can't say I did, and I wanted to. I didn't learn anything interesting. I wasn't really caught up on Kamala's positions and policy proposals, and she went into that a little bit, but it wasn't anything like super inspiring to me. Like, it's, typical sort of Democrat stuff. It seems to me that Kamala's goal in that debate was just to beat Trump, which I think she did. I don't know that her goal was to convince people that she would be a good president. Probably that was her goal, but I don't think that was her main goal. I think her main goal was to make sure that she doesn't lose to Trump, because that's kind of Trump's thing, is that he's a good debater and that he's a good talker. That's like his whole thing. So I think that's what she was focused on, and I think she succeeded at that. I think Trump, and they did a good job of doing it without seeming without seeming like immature or like petty. She kind of knew how to push Trump's buttons, and Trump is, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, just kind of a baby, and he cannot abide someone telling him that he's not the best, and everyone knows that, and Kamala knew that, and she took advantage of it, and it worked. And among other things, I think that's why she did better than him. People expect too much from presidents. Realistically, you just squabble with Congress for 4 years. That's true to an extent, but I would say that it is incorrect to say that the president, the president has no influence or has no sway on what Congress does. I mean, the biggest example is Obamacare, which obviously the Obamacare that we got is not the Obamacare that Obama proposed, but we still got Obamacare. Like, that's one of the biggest changes in American healthcare, or just American way of life and culture that we've had in a while, was this overhaul of the healthcare system. So the president definitely has pull. Open your music app. What playlist are you on right now? I don't listen to music. Well, I don't keep up with music. I don't use music apps. I feel like this is weird to say, because I can't, like, you know, every year they have the Spotify Wrapped. I can't participate because I don't use Spotify. So I'm just kind of like watching from the sidelines. Every now and then I'll, like, you know, late at night, I'll just start playing. I'll just go on YouTube and just start playing songs that I like, but I don't really have a specific playlist. Do you watch anime? Nope. What's a movie you watched as a kid that you keep thinking about now, or you thought about recently? I randomly got suggested on my YouTube clips from the movie Terminator 2, which is like truly like in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. But that's an example. I absolutely love that movie so much, and I just literally, like, yesterday I was watching a bunch of clips from it and just like reminiscing at how good that movie is. And it's still good. I can't hear about bikes being stolen without thinking of 50 Cent's verse on Hate It or Love It. Yeah. Stole my bike. My Caribbean. No. The reason I say that kind of weird is because so my mom is from Panama, which is not really Caribbean, but it's in the area. Is there a show or movie you enjoyed when you were younger, but rewatching it as an adult makes you cringe? For me, it's Power Rangers. Power Rangers, really? I'm sure there is. I'm trying to think of something. Oh, one example is the movie Ace Ventura. I loved that shit when I was a kid. Now it's like unwatchable. That is a movie that was made for 12-year-old boys. Dan Brown posted a video for the first time in almost a decade. I actually saw that. Did they post again? Yeah, I actually saw that. It was cool to hear from him. Greetings from Australia. Hello. What time is it in Australia? Have I worked with Knowing Better before? Any thoughts on his content? I've never worked with him, but he is or was on Nebula, I believe. I don't know if he still is. And I feel like his content was good. I didn't watch it like religiously, just every now and then if I saw something that was interesting. He has almost 1 million subscribers. I didn't realize that. Good for him. What am I currently watching? Nothing. I'm watching a show for my next video, but I don't want to spoil what it is. But it is a comedy from the 90s. That's all I'll say. Outside of that, I just watch a lot of YouTube. I was watching Dimension 20, which is an actual play D&D show, but the current season just wrapped up. So that's done. So I just gotta wait for the next one. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I watch. It's like YouTube series and stuff and D&D stuff, things of that nature. Sailor Moon is that show that I know I wouldn't enjoy as an adult. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the original Sailor Moon in so long. Top 3 movies you've seen this year. I don't even know if I've seen 3 movies this year. What movies have I seen this year? Well, actually, I may have seen... Assuming you mean movies that came out this year. So I saw Deadpool vs. Wolverine. I saw Into the Spider-Verse. That was this year, right? Or was it last year? I'm looking at a list of movies and see if I've seen any of them. Yeah, I didn't see any movies. I told you I don't watch anything. I saw Roadhouse, but that movie's bad. I did see Roadhouse. I didn't like it. Let's see. Still, I'm like literally looking at a list of every American movie that came out in 2024. I haven't seen any of them. Yep. Nope. Deadpool, Wolverine. I saw that. So yeah, that was the last movie I saw in theaters. So, do you think Madam Web will get an Oscar? No, I do not. I didn't see it, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and it seems like it was pretty bad. Dimension 20 is a massive rabbit hole. Massive rabbit hole. There is definitely a lot of Dimension 20 content. And I've seen all of it because it's good. It's definitely the best actual play D&D show on the internet. I'm so stoned. Do you smoke pot? I do. I recently cut back heavily on drinking, and I kind of replaced it with weed. Do you think we'll ever get a proper Planet Hulk movie in the MCU? Probably not, because I think Thor Ragnarok was their version of Planet Hulk. So I doubt that they'll do it again. Gotta go. I need to pick my kid from school. Cheers. All right. Have fun. Thanks for stopping by. Keeping track of movies is what made me join Letterboxd. I would join Letterboxd. I just don't watch enough movies. One day I will get, like, there's no particular reason why I don't watch movies. It's just, I'm just always doing other stuff. But I've been trying to get more into stuff, like more into media. I need like a movie buddy. I need someone to watch movies with me. I don't really have that. I don't want to go by myself. It just seems weird to go to the movies by yourself. I could also just watch movies. The thing is, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna do it at home. There's way too many distractions at home. I can't sit down for like 2 straight hours and watch a movie at home. I just can't do it. Maybe it's like an ADHD thing. And at the same time, I can't watch a movie in parts. Well, I guess I could, but it's not ideal. I don't want to like start a movie, then stop it and finish it later. That's just like not an ideal experience. And because of that, I don't watch movies at home. I have to go to the theater. So I need to find like a buddy that will go with me. Is YouTube your full-time job? It is. I'm very fortunate in that way. It's a cool job. Highly recommend it. It's hard though. I think a lot of people don't. Well, this perception has probably changed over time, but I know back in the day, maybe like 10 or so years ago, there was kind of this idea that being a full-time YouTuber was like a super easy dream job where you just sit at home and make videos in your bedroom. But yeah, it's a job for real. It's a lot of work, but I feel very fulfilled by it. So I thought Never Stop Blowing Up might have actually been too off the wall. Didn't think that was possible. I understand what you mean, but I think you have to like go in there knowing the vibe and just accepting it. Once it becomes clear that's like, oh, anything goes, this is going to be a crazy season, then you become okay with it and you just take it. But I kind of understand. I was starting to feel the same way, but then I was just like, let me just accept this is what this show is, and I'll accept it. And when you accept it, then you can enjoy it and start to look forward to all the crazy stuff that might happen. Do I remember Mystery Guitar Man? Have you seen his movies? I have not seen his movies. I do remember him though. He used to be one of the biggest YouTubers. I haven't seen his movies. I saw a trailer from something that he did with Anna Kendrick, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't really seen his movie. Which 90s sitcom do you think still holds up? I love a lot of them, but some are just weird to watch in retrospective. I don't know. I feel like people ask this question a lot, and it kind of depends on what you mean by holds up. Like, if by holds up, do you mean is still fun and entertaining to watch? If that's what you mean, then I think most of them hold up. As a person who has watched a lot of old sitcoms as research for videos, I enjoyed most of them. I rewatched Seinfeld. I enjoyed it. I think it's still funny. I just rewatched a lot of Friends. I still liked it. I guess The Office is not a 90s sitcom, but I watched that. It was good. Boy Meets World. I still love that show. I've watched that. I've watched that show more times recently than any other show. And also I keep up with the Pod Meets World rewatch podcast for Boy Meets World. So I'm like very familiar with Boy Meets World at this point in my life. I feel like I'm like one of the most, I feel like very few people know more about Boy Meets World than me, just because of how many times I've seen it in full recently. But it's good. I still like it. So I don't know. I feel like most of them hold up. If by hold up you mean like, does it offend today's sensibilities? Even like that, I think most of them hold up. You know, most sitcoms are about, just characters and relationships, and they're usually positive and heartwarming. Obviously, there are exceptions, like Seinfeld, for example, which is not a heartwarming show at all. And every now and then there'll be a joke or line here that's like, you probably couldn't say that today. But It's like whatever. It's not that big a deal. How are you? I'm good. Just chilling, hanging out. I'm interested in seeing what James Gunn does with DCU. Are they even still doing DCU? I feel like they've kind of abandoned the idea of the DCU. But yeah, I mean, James Gunn has a track record of making good stuff, so I'm down to see what he does. And he seems to know how to make a really good, like, gritty superhero movie. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the best MCU movie, so he knows what he's doing. I just thought the rule set was a little unbalanced, untested, like they couldn't fail a check for the last 4 episodes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, kinda. I think Brendan himself commented that there were some oversights in the system. But I think also that was the point, is these are like these out of this world action movie stars. So they should be really good at everything that they do because they're the protagonists of the movie, you know? I think that was part of the point. And those are things that you have to think about when you're like making a show for an audience. But I'm sure for them as the player, the people playing the game, I'm sure that was very fun for them. So as a person who runs tabletop games, players like to succeed. Your players will never say to you, I think we succeed too much. Maybe we should succeed less. That's something that players will never say. Do you have a favorite band / musician? My favorite band of all time is probably Nirvana. Or I would say Nirvana or / Outkast. Those are probably my 2 favorites. Someone just put How I Met Your Mother. I'm not sure what that was reference to, but that's a show that I actually have not seen. I need to watch that. I want to make a video about it just because it's a popular show, but I need to watch it to see if there's actually something to make a video about. Have I considered streaming video games? I have streamed video games before, and I may do it, but similar to how I've been talking about how I don't watch many movies or watch many TV shows, I also don't play many video games. And also, usually when I stream video games, not many people want to watch it because, you know, that's just not what this channel was built on. So I think a lot of people who are subscribed to this channel are not necessarily interested in watching me play video games. But maybe I'll do like a side channel or something like that just for the people who might be interested. But also, then there might be people who will be interested to watch me play, but they might not be interested to watch me play the games that I would want to play. Because the games that I play, like I don't play a lot of video games, but I will get like super obsessed in one video game, and usually it's a competitive game. So like for a while I was really into Overwatch. Like I was obsessed with Overwatch, and I'll probably get back into it at some point. And then like before that I was really into Street Fighter. I really like fighting games, so I was playing a lot of Street Fighter. Right now, I'm checking out the new World of Warcraft expansion. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it, but I'm checking it out. And it's like, will people really like tune in to watch me like level my character in World of Warcraft? I don't know, probably not. Outcast and Little Dragon. Got a lot of Outcast fans, that's what's up. T2J the side channel. I actually have a second channel. It's called Stay Heiko. I upload on it infrequently, but that's where I put like little side stuff. I also have a defunct gaming channel which I could revive. I haven't posted on it in maybe like 8 years, but I have it. Street Fighter is the best. I do love Street Fighter. I would say Street Fighter is my favorite fighting game franchise. Overall. Mario Kart main? Wario usually? No particular reason, I just like the character. I feel like he's usually low tier in the games that he's in because he's usually a heavy character, and heavy characters are usually bad in Mario Kart games. But you can make them work. I practically stopped playing video games this year after I went headfirst into spending all my free time making music. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, my life is consumed by making YouTube videos and running D&D games, and that takes up a lot of time, so I don't have a lot of time to play video games. I might try to finish leveling my character in WoW after the stream. I'm like the level cap is 80, I'm like 78, so I can maybe finish it up. But yeah, that's how I do it. Just like play for a couple hours when I can find time. And the only reason I have time is because I just recently finished my video, which is coming out tomorrow, already on Nebula. Check out Nebula if you want to see it now. Whatever happened to Eli Williams on Boy Meets World? Seems like he just fell off the face of the earth with no explanation. That's correct. That is one of the most poorly used actors in a sitcom ever. I think his name's Alex Desser, who plays Eli Williams. He's a great actor. He went on to the show Benson and was really cool on that show, but they just really did not have anything for that character to do. And then he didn't get like a farewell episode or anything. He just stopped showing up on the show. Your video where you go on Twitter and log off when you get mad is making some rounds on it. It's been fun seeing people talk about it. Oh yeah, I've seen the meme of it's got like 1 million views on Twitter. It's like, man, I wish I could get some of those views. I think maybe I should have made it a short instead of a regular video. Maybe would have got more views that way. Hypothetical fight: Wario versus 90s movie M. Bison. Who wins? I gotta put my money on 90s movie M. Bison. That dude was a stone cold killer. That man said for me it was Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Thursday? I think it's Tuesday. That's like one of the coldest lines in movie history. Hey man, great channel. I sent you an email last week. Thanks for your response. Thank you for the kind words. I think I remember, if it's the email I'm thinking of, I remember that. Hello, Earth-chan. What's up, Ghostlight? I'm struggling to cut back on alcohol. Could you share your journey? Well, I mean, there's a whole part of my journey that I could go into, but basically, there's just a lot of years of drinking too much alcohol. So the thing with me with alcohol is I thought I was like I can beat it, you know. I'm a smart dude. I'm usually good at like making plans and well, that's actually not true. But I think I'm usually good at like rationalizing things and like telling myself when something is good to do and when something is not good to do. The problem is that doesn't work with alcohol because alcohol changes the way that your brain works. Alcohol makes you think things that are bad ideas are good ideas. So it completely fucks up your. So originally my idea was like I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna be able to drink and have fun and party, but while curbing all of the downsides of it. And it doesn't work. That just doesn't work. Just, you know, spoilers. It doesn't work. But yeah, I would try to do things like I would be like, okay, so I'm gonna go out. I'm only gonna have like 3 drinks, or I'm gonna make sure that I drink a bunch of water before bed. And it's like some days that work, like maybe one day that works, and you're like, okay, I got it. But then you try it again, it doesn't work because the alcohol fucks with your brain. Especially if you're like me, I'm a social person. I like hanging out with people. So if I'm in like a group setting or like a social setting and people are drinking, I want to have fun, and I'll just keep drinking, and I'll drink too much, and then I got to a point where I could limit the amount that I drank most of the time, but the problem is there's still negative effects, and especially when you start to get old like me, your body can't handle it. So even if you only have like 1 or 2 drinks, which for me is nothing, like I will barely feel that. However, I will still have low energy the next day. I will sometimes get anxiety. It's just bad. There's just too many negative consequences. And I kind of was in that same situation where I felt like it was too hard and I couldn't do it, and like I thought like maybe like it would be weird because a lot of my social life kind of revolves around people drinking alcohol. So I was like, people are gonna be like looking at me weird and saying shit to me, and you know, after a certain age, you don't care that much about peer pressure, but you still like don't want to put yourself in awkward positions for no reason. So I was like, I had all this anxiety about it. And honestly, and like this is gonna be weird, maybe sound weird, but I read a book that helped me. And the thing about this book, it's like the stupidest, cheesiest book ever. It's called what's it called? It's what's this dude's name? It's like The Easy Way to Quitting Alcohol or something like that. It's Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit. He has like this series. I think he's most known for his book about quitting smoking. But he has this series of books where he like helps you like quit alcohol and quit bad habits. And I just read a book because I was like, I don't really know how to do this, so I'm just gonna read this book. And the book, the way that this book works is it just it just like hammers over and over. It's kind of hard to read because it just says the same shit over and over for like 200 pages, but it just hammers into your head that alcohol is bad. It's not good. I think the issue with alcohol is, and in other bad habits, is you have to, I think most people think of alcohol as like a guilty pleasure. It's like a thing that I like. It's a good thing that has bad consequences. It's a thing, it's a pleasurable thing. So if I give it up, it's a sacrifice. But you have to change your mindset. You have to tell yourself that it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing that has negative consequences for your life, and you probably shouldn't do it. Or you should do it much less. And that the book helped me to think about, to reframe it in that way. And I hesitate to recommend the book, even though it did help me a lot, because it's not a good book. Like, it's very cheesy and it'll probably like make you cringe, but it worked. And by the end of the book, drinking alcohol just sounds like the dumbest idea in the world. And it's, I think I like hypnotized myself or something. I think just the repetition just like drilled it into my head, and I started to feel like stupid for wanting alcohol. And so, you know, the book helped, but I think the thing that the book did, if you don't want to read the book, the thing that the book did was reframe the conversation. It's not, instead of thinking about X bad habit, in this case alcohol, as a pleasure that sometimes has bad consequences that you need to sacrifice in your life, you start to think of it as, oh, actually this is a bad thing. This is a thing that degrades the quality of my life. Full stop. Like, sure, there are positive things, you know, heroin makes you feel good, but I know that you shouldn't do heroin. So you can't just say just because it makes you feel good sometimes that it's a good thing. So that's kind of the that's what happened to me, is I figured out how to reframe the idea. And once you learn that, you can do that for a lot of other stuff. You start to think, like, you can even do it for people. It's like, is this person actually, like, this person is literally degrading the quality of my life. It's not like it's good and then it just has some negative consequences. So yeah, I don't know, I kind of rambled there, but that's basically what I did. And I will say, like, I haven't like completely stopped drinking. Like, I have had a drink on special occasions. You know, I went to I was the best man at my friend's wedding. I had a couple of drinks there. And honestly, it wasn't even that cool. Like, the thing is, when I have tried it again, I didn't really like it that much. Like, it was like, I guess I got the buzz, but I'm tired. I'm like groggy. Like, it's not even that cool. I don't even remember. I think the thing is, in order for me to get to the point where it is the fun that I remember, I have to drink excessively, which will also cause the terrible side effects that I'm trying to avoid. So at this point, there's like no reason for me to do it, because either I drink a tiny amount and only get the annoying side effects and barely get a buzz, or I drink way too much and I feel good for a night, but I probably make a fool out of myself, and then I will absolutely feel like I'm dying the next day. So I don't know. That's what I would say about that. I had a lot to say about that, as you see, because I do think alcohol is just like, it fucks up so many things in so many people's lives, and I didn't realize the badness of it until very recently, like in the last couple of years. But yeah, sorry if I rambled a little bit. Coming here straight from a rewatch of Black Dynamite. Word. I don't think I've seen it. We subbed you a few weeks ago. I just want to say I love your content on YouTube and Nebula. Thank you. What's the wackest characters you played in a D&D game? I once played a half-orc that had extremely muscly breasts that would win arm wrestles in pubs. Wackest characters? I don't know. I wouldn't say any of my characters are whack. I love all my characters. But I usually run the game, so I don't really get to be a player that much. I'm currently applying to a bunch of jobs, but no one is replying. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. What's your advice? Well, I will say I'm not the best person to ask about this, because I haven't had to apply for a job in a long time, and I'm in a unique situation where I'm self-employed and I'm my own boss. So I don't exactly interact with the workforce in the same way that other people do. But um, I think I would say, it's probably not because you're not good enough. I think this is the case for most people who apply for jobs. Especially depending on what kind of jobs you are and what kind of job you're looking for and what your qualifications are. But like the average person is probably not getting a whole bunch of responses. If you're like using your resume, there are ways to improve your resume. You can look that up if that's what you're doing. If it's more like if it's not the type of jobs that require a resume, a lot of that's just a numbers game. I honestly don't know how it is now, but when I was looking for jobs, which was at least 10 years ago maybe, but I would like at least like when I was younger, like in my early 20s or like teens looking for a job, I would literally just go into every store and get an application. You got to play the numbers game with certain things. Now it gets very complicated because I don't know your qualifications or what kind of job you're looking for or how picky you are, how much you need a job. It's just so many things that go into it. But a good rule of life is to not worry about things that you cannot change. You can't change whether or not someone hires you or calls you back. You literally have little direct control on that. Pretty much no direct control on that. The only thing that you can change is your attitude, your resume, your tactics, the way that you conduct interviews. So just focus on being the best that you can at every aspect of this process. And eventually, if you do that, I think eventually they'll come around. Hypothetical fight: drunk thoughts versus shower thoughts. Definitely shower thoughts. Drunk thoughts are often just unhinged. Cringe for the sake of a physical betterment sounds like a good trade to me. I mean, I agree. It worked out for me. I just don't want to I hesitate to recommend the book because when people pick up the book, they might be like, what the fuck is this dude? Was T1J talking about? This book is terrible. Do you smoke weed? Yep. That's kind of how the alcohol conversation started, is because I said that I've cut back severely on alcohol and I sort of replaced it with weed. I think I used to call myself a hedonist. I kind of still am in a way, but I have this sort of pursuit of pleasurable feelings, and that's one of the reasons why I was so into alcohol, because it does make you feel good. But I think part of it is probably just like ADHD and like the lack of dopamine in my brain. Could be misremembering, but I feel like you mentioned enjoying Daria in a video once. Would you ever consider making a video essay on it? I would consider making a video essay on it. Keep an eye out for that. Should Seinfeld be revived? No, it's not necessary. It was what it was. They don't need to do it again. And I mean, there's been plenty of shows that are sort of like spiritual successors to Seinfeld. I think It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia being the main example. But yeah, going back to sort of the alcohol conversation, I think this is mindset. I think this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about life. Even like sort of the jobs question. A lot of the questions, it's all about your mindset. I think if you can control your mindset and the way that you react to things and the way that you think about things, that can solve so many of life's problems, or just make life easier to go through if you have the correct mindset about things. Hedonism gets a bit deeper. Also, would you do a reaction of a video essay of mine about the TV show The Boys and giving critics? Well, I mean, if you like send me the video, I can like give my thoughts on it. I don't know what you mean by what kind of criticism you want. If you want to know if I agree with you, or if you want to know like is it a well-made video, or if I think it'll get views or whatever. But if you send me the video, I can take a look at it. It just kind of depends though. If it's like a 2-hour-long video, I'm probably not gonna watch the whole thing, unless it's like super good. What is hedonism? Hedonism is basically like the pursuit of pleasure. It's like when you think, it's like the philosophy that the purpose of life is maximizing pleasure. Something like that. Something to that effect. And I kind of feel like that, but also I don't. It just kind of depends on what you mean by pleasure. Because some adversity and struggle and suffering, I think, is necessary for all people to become like useful humans. So in that way, I don't think that like maximizing pleasure is good, but I generally like believe in sort of the freedom to maximize your own pleasure. Help you pick your fantasy football starters. I am not the one to do that. I don't follow NFL at all. The only sports that I really watch religiously is Alabama football, Alabama college football. I've been trying to get back into the NBA, but I just haven't really caught up. Just pick the best two names. Well, the best two names are Tank Dell and Zay Flowers for sure. Hedonism also involves the responsibility of morals. I don't know if I can explain not a hedonist, so probably just forgetting stuff. Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where there's people who like take it very seriously as a personal philosophy, and then there's people like me who's just like, I just like feeling good, and I think that I want to do that as much as possible. So there's different ways to sort of analyze it and engage with it. But I do think that there's something to the idea of pursuing pleasure, and it's not necessarily just physical pleasure, although physical pleasure is a big part of it, but it's also just like emotional pleasure and good experiences and just having fun in life. I am a strong supporter of that, and I think some people like deny themselves pleasure like unnecessarily, or some people are, I don't know, some people are just party poopers, you know, for lack of a better term. What NBA team do I support? I've been a Lakers fan since Shaq joined the Lakers. Do I like jazz? I don't really know much about jazz. The idea of jazz is cool, but yeah, I couldn't name a single active jazz artist, I don't think. Oh, I don't think you can drop links in the YouTube chat if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think you'll have to like email it to me. I wouldn't I'm not gonna react to it on stream. I would say just you can email it to hello@theonejanitor.com. Lakers got Baby Brown this season. Is he good? Do you like heavy metal? It's just the second person to ask about metal in the stream. There's a lot of people interested in metal today. I don't know that much about it. I probably know like popular stuff, but yeah, I'm not too into the weeds when it comes to heavy metal. But I'm sure there are songs that I like. And again, I was saying earlier, I'm not even sure what qualifies as heavy metal. Colin Stetson is a great contemporary jazz musician. Cool. Never heard of him. How long, often do you stream? Do I have a schedule? I don't have a schedule. I should have a schedule. I stream very sporadically, but I'm trying. I say this all the time, but I think this time I'm going to actually try to stream more often. I have been streaming more often. A lot of it just revolves on how busy I am doing other stuff, but I do want to stream more because I like doing it, and it's a good way to interact with the audience. As for how long, my streams are usually about 2 hours long. Sometimes 3 to 4 hours if the conversation is going particularly well. I don't stream like super long streams. I don't really have a desire to do that. I know a lot of streamers will stream for like 7-8 hours. That sounds exhausting to me. I would never do that. So I stream for a couple hours, 2-3 hours. But a lot of times it just depends on how it's going. Like if it's like a super engaged stream and we're having like a really cool conversation, then we can go on longer, but yeah. Are there any single player games you like playing? Not currently. Yeah, I don't play a lot of single player games. That's something that I have been trying to fix. I've been trying to find a good single player game. I think I have a low attention span now. It's hard for me to stick with a game. I think that's why I like competitive games, because you can just play and stop whenever you want. There's no pressure to keep going. You know, there's no story that you have to complete. You just get on, play a couple games, play for a little while, and then you just stop, and it's fine. But yeah, I think the last single player game that I really got into was Breath of the Wild. So that tells you like how long ago that was. Do I have a go-to icebreaker? Not really. I don't really interact with people that much. Or I guess, I don't know, like, what is an icebreaker? Just like a conversation starter type of thing? I don't know, I just like talk to people normally. I don't have like a icebreaker. When I think of icebreakers, I think of like either like a workplace or like a party where like people are, where you're trying to do something to get people to talk to each other. But I don't have that much of a problem talking to people. I'll drop the email in the chat. Okay. It's hello at theonejanitor.com. Have I seen the horror film The Sadness? I have not. Video games are the best form of storytelling. IMO thoughts. I think different stories are best told in different mediums. It just depends on the story that you want to tell. I think some stories like demand to be told as movies. Some stories demand to be told as video games. Some stories demand to be told as podcasts. You know, some stories demand to be told as a D&D session. Just different stories are best told in the media that suits it, I think. Books are still the best form of storytelling because they're not limited by anything except the mind of the author. I mean, it just depends on the story. I mean, sometimes visuals are a big part of the storytelling. Like for example, Quentin Tarantino's movies, they have to be movies. They wouldn't work as books because they're very visual. And you know, other things, the performances and the dialogue, the way the dialogue is delivered matters. Like, those stories need to be movies, in my opinion. I'm sure you could novelize them. I wouldn't be surprised if they have been novelized, but they'd be worse if they weren't movies, I think. But like, you know, something like Metal Gear Solid, for example, that has to be a video game. It's a very cinematic video game, and you could make a movie of it, but it needs to be a video game. Like, it would be worse if it wasn't a video game. There are probably some stories that could work in multiple mediums. That exists as well. Does anyone use "What's Your Sign" as an icebreaker? I mean, people definitely still talk about astrology, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think, I don't know, like, icebreakers are not necessary when you just like are interested in people, because I feel like if you like seek out to find, like, if you seek out the interest in people, like if you go into every conversation trying to learn what is interesting about this person, I think it's really easy to talk to people. You just have to be interested in what they say. I think the issue is most people are only interested in their own, in themselves. They're not that interested in other people. And that's why it's so hard to have conversations with other people, because you're just literally not interested. But if you are interested, it's like you'll like never run out of things to say, I feel like. I mean, that's maybe an exaggeration, but I don't know, that's my, if you have trouble having conversations with people, that's my tip. Just be interested in them, in what they have to say. You can take advantage of the fact that everybody only cares about themselves by being the guy that also cares about them. So people love to talk about themselves, so just do that. Now, like so like that's why I say when I think of icebreakers, like if you're like in a group setting and you don't know like whose turn it is to talk, or like, you don't want to be the only person talking in a room full of like 10 people. I think that's when like icebreakers and stuff are useful, because it provides a standard sort of format for people to engage in. But just in one-on-one conversations, you don't need icebreakers. Probably stream for about 10 to 15 more minutes. We're coming up on 2 hours, and it's also midnight here, which I usually stay up pretty late, but there is a limit. My goal is to, after the stream, I'm gonna hop on WoW and try to level cap my character, and then probably go to bed. What's your favorite horror movie? It's cliche, but probably The Shining. If I want to give a more interesting answer, I would say It Follows. But to me, The Shining is like a perfect movie. But It Follows is also really good. And I'm not even a big horror guy. Like, if you make a horror movie that I think is amazing, to me that's an accomplishment, because I'm not a big horror guy. I've been getting more into horror in the past couple of years, but I'm still very picky about it. The Witching Hour. Do you talk with people on online games, or do you just play in silence? I don't talk to people. I don't have time to deal with these weirdos on the internet. I guess it depends on the game, though. Some games have okay communities, but most of the games I play don't. So a big example is Overwatch. Like I was saying earlier in the stream, I was like really obsessed with Overwatch for a long time. And I kind of still, like, I'm sure I will get back on Overwatch in the future. I go through periods where I'm so obsessed with it, and then I just stop, and then I get back on it. So, but Overwatch has absolutely terrible toxic community, and I just mute the chat. I'm grown. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be being yelled at on a fucking video game. Like, that's just, why would I subject myself to that? Now, if the people are cool, I'm happy to chat. But that just seems to be rare on most popular video games. Yeah, it's in it. I guess that the question was, do I chat? But not only do I not chat, I mute everyone else. I quit Overwatch for a year and then returned and thoroughly enjoyed only the gameplay. What got me off it again was the Talos Principle. I want to check out the Talos Principle. I never played it, but it seems like it would be up my alley. I usually like the sort of like psychological puzzle type of games, which I believe that is. Am I wrong? Yeah, puzzle game. I like puzzle games. I mean, Portal and Portal 2 are like two of my favorite games of all time. I kind of like stuff in that vein. Cerebral, yeah, that's a good word. Have I watched The English Teacher? I have not. Have I played Disco Elysium? I have not, and actually, if I do pick up a single player game, it'll probably be that, because so many people have recommended that game to me. I guess people just think that I would like it. I assume that it's like also a cerebral game and just a game for like, just like a thoughtful game, and I guess people think that I would like that, which is a pretty good guess. So that's sort of like been on my list for a while, and at some point I'll probably check it out. That's kind of like the first thing on my list to check out right now. I kind of feel, I've talked about this before, but I feel sad about how my love for video games is not what it used to be. Like, I used to be obsessed with video games. That's like all I did was just sit at home and play video games, and I just lost that at some point. I just don't get as excited about it as I used to, and I feel sad about that. I feel like a part of my childhood kind of died or something. And you know, as much as honestly forgot what I was about to say right there, but yeah, I kind of feel sad about that sometimes. I just feel like I lost something from my childhood. I think I've just replaced it with other things. Like, I've replaced it with YouTube and D&D and things like that. But I still love competitive games. I've always been a competitive person, and I think that's just kind of what kept me into video games. I just like competing. So that's usually what I end up playing. But I can appreciate, you know, a good single player game with a good story and good gameplay. I mean, I can definitely appreciate that. I just have to basically make myself do it. It's similar to books. So I've been reading way more books lately, usually like nonfiction, sort of like personal development type stuff. But like, I never, like, from high school to like 2 years ago, I was not a reader. I just never, when I was a kid, I loved to read. I loved reading books, and I just stopped doing it. And I was like, it's similar to the video game things. It's like, man, I wish I read more books, but I just don't do it. And the way that I started doing it is just literally forcing myself to do it. I just told myself, you're gonna read. And I set time aside every day to read. Like, even if you don't like it, you're gonna do it. And then now I just read books now. I just read. I've read like, I don't know, like 12 books this year, which is roughly 12 more than the previous year. So Since you play D&D, you probably like Baldur's Gate 3. I have played Baldur's Gate 3 actually, but once I played a little bit. Like I haven't even gotten past the first act. I just it's hard for me to keep up with it. I don't know. Have I played Stanley Parable? I haven't. That's another one that a lot of people say that I would like. I've seen some clips of people playing it. It looks really interesting. What am I reading these days? Right now I am reading a book. I forgot the title. But it's a book about it's basically a book about how Pixar was formed and how Pixar is run. It's kind of half a history of Pixar and half a how to run a creative company book. So it's like not like self-help, but like almost like a business book, like how to run a production business, but also alongside that is the story of how Pixar was created, and it's like specifically focused on like creative businesses. So that's what I'm reading. Let me see what it's called. I forgot. It's called Creativity Inc. I forgot the fucking title. Creativity Inc. But yeah, this year has been sort of my year of personal growth and personal development. I'm just trying to become the best version of myself. We talked about me like sort of quitting alcohol earlier. That was part of that. So most of the books that I have read this year have been to that vein, in that vein, to that effect. So yeah, I read a lot of like personal development books and like books that like help me with my career. Like I read books about like script writing and books about marketing and books about how to break bad habits and how to develop good habits. I've been reading a lot of stuff like that. Maybe it's because you have more time to think. I don't think I have more time to think though. I feel like I have less time to think. Any collabs in the works? Nothing like in terms of like YouTube content. There's someone asked me to be on their podcast, which might happen. We'll see. But yeah, no big YouTube collabs. Ed Burnay's book on propaganda was a great marketing book. I might check it out. I've always been like the creative type of guy. I'm the artsy fartsy guy. I just like making stuff, but I feel like I've always been really bad at the business aspect of this whole thing. So I've been trying to learn more about that part of it. And so I've been reading about marketing and other business related things. Books are wild, bro. Like, you reading a book is literally, it's almost the same as like taking a course in the subject. It's like you get a full course on any subject for like, $10 to $20. It's amazing. I'm so sad it took me so long to realize how awesome books are. Sitting down to read a book takes so much commitment these days since there's so many distractions. I agree 100%. That's why you have to force yourself to do it. You have to, if it's a thing you want to do, you have to say, every day, or whatever you want to do, every other day, every weekend, every day, I'm going to read for X number of minutes. I started out with just reading for like 10 minutes a day. I just literally said, I have a book by my bed. I have a book on my nightstand by my bed. I'm going to read 10 minutes before bed. That's literally what I did. Now I read like almost like an hour a day because I just want to. Not an hour a day, maybe like an hour every other day. But you have to make yourself do it. And that's another secret to life that I've realized recently is you can't just sit and wait for stuff to happen. Like if you want to read and the problem is there's too many distractions. It's just too big of a commitment. You can't just be like, I'm gonna wait until my distractions die down and then I'll start reading. That doesn't work. You can't do that. You have to be like, I'm going to make this a priority because it's important to me. And you have to be proactive about it. And it's not just with reading, just with anything else in your life that you want to do. You have to be proactive. That's something I should have known my whole life, but it's something I've only recently realized. You ever poop your pants? I did once. I used to do it all the time when I was a baby. But you know, not ignoring the spirit of the question, probably. But I don't think I have as an adult that I can think of. Have I read any Discworld novels? I have not. So I haven't really gotten into fiction. I think maybe next year is going to be my fiction arc. Right now I'm in my nonfiction arc, and specifically my personal development arc. But I do want to get into fiction eventually. I've heard about the Discworld stuff though. Aren't those just like these really dense fantasy novels? Like I don't know if I would be into that. I like stuff that's like easy to read. I feel like a lot of fantasy stuff is like needlessly dense, and I mean, you know, a lot of people like it, so you know, millions of people probably can't be wrong. But I mean, I guess they could be wrong, but there's a reason so many people like it. So, but you know, I'd be willing to check it out. And also, aren't there like dozens of those books? I could be thinking of something else. No question. Just want to say I'm a fan of your stuff and send some positivity your way. I thank you. I appreciate it very much. The writing is creative and funny. Well, that sounds promising. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and end the stream here. We've just hit the 2-hour mark, and it is getting late. I mean, that's what's gonna happen on a late night stream, but we're after midnight here. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming to hang out. I don't have a stream schedule yet. I'm not sure if I ever will, but I will try to stream more often. If you are a Nebula subscriber, go ahead and check out Nebula for my newest video. It's out right now. Or you can become a Nebula subscriber so you can watch it. Among other things, there's so much good stuff on Nebula. There really is. I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it. If not, my video should be out at some point tomorrow evening on YouTube. So you can wait for that. but you'll get the ads. Unfortunately, we got to put the ads in the YouTube version. If you like sort of chill, positive chat like this, you can consider joining my Discord server. It is free. I'll drop a link in the chat. It's just the chill place. I feel like there's so much negative toxicity on the internet, so I decided to try to make my own little corner of the internet that's very chill and friendly. Positive, well, it definitely positive vibes. I'm not saying you're not allowed to, you know, be serious or negative, but it's chill. We're chill, we're friendly. So if you like that, check out the Discord server. That's sort of my personal corner of the internet where we just chill and we just chat. It kind of brings me back to my old days where I used to go on forums and hang out with people, and it was fun and it was chill. Depending on the forum, I found a few chill forums, but these days it's so hard to find like positive places on the internet, so I decided to make one. So that's my pitch for my Discord server. Anyway, thanks for joining the stream. See you guys next time. Check out the video tomorrow. And I think that's about it. Bye-bye.
Pizza.